everybody. Happy Valentine's Day. This is Little Gamer here, and I am so excited and happy you have decided to join me today. Now, this is my second video of the Valentine's Day collab, which is the Sims of Love collab, if I'm remembering it correctly. And I am doing this collab with the following Simmers: G, Queenie, Ghoul, Charlie, Abby, Piper, Tay, Christy, Motherload, Bunny Banana Sims, Permacpup, Misty, Living Dead Girl, Shiro, Nyx, Jenna, Bailey, Anne, also known as Purple Sims, Retro, Simber Sanders, Tara, Emma Sims, Beamsies, Tori, Zoe, and Emma. And honestly, I am so excited and honored to be collaborating with these Simmers today. You will also find their videos and Twitters, if they decided to post their video on Twitter, or their Twitch, wherever they decided to post it today, in the description below. And this video, as long as with my other one, will be a part of a playlist made by G, whose playlist I will link in the description below. Hopefully I remember. If I don't, please let me know and I will fix it. Now, we are going to go ahead and learn about the Sims that I am creating today. The Sims I'm creating today is Octavia and Serenity Hooper. They are wives. They are very much so in love. And they are, as you may have already guessed, lesbians. My favorite couples to make are typically couples that are in the LGBTQ community. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm a little gay myself, but I do enjoy creating LGBTQ Sims. Now, Octavia, she is a bit of a goth, as is her wife. I was going to go with the stereotypical butch and femme lesbian couples, but as I created them, I decided that them being more of the goth and emo kind of styles would be the best options. But then again, I usually radiate to darker styles. I go one of two ways. I either go towards pastels or I go to blacks and reds and purples. Probably because I myself love both styles. Also, if you hear a little jingling in the back, I got my cat, Tater Tot, a new collar, and it's got a little bow tie and a bell on it, and he looks very handsome. But yes, let's go ahead and learn about our Sims. Now, this is Octavia Hooper. Now, I can't tell you her traits or her likes and dislikes. I have completely forgotten them, and I know it's not going to pop up in this video. But I like to think that she is a pretty no-nonsense woman. She's very kind-hearted, but if you cause her if you get in any messes or you cause her any issues, she's not going to accept it, and you're going to have to change your tune quickly. And she does work as a paramedic, and she's currently in university hoping to become a doctor. Now, I know you can't be a paramedic in the actual Sims game, and considering I'm on PS4, I cannot, for the life of me, get mods on my PS4. Which, say as what you want, it sucks, but it's the only thing I have to my availability. Now, Octavia, I sort of actually got inspiration for her after watching one of my favorite TV shows, Night Watch. I very loosely, extremely loosely, based her off of Holly from Night Watch, and she is an amazing paramedic, by the way, which, as unlikely as it is, if she's watching this video, thank you so much for the work that you do. You're amazing, and you're just absolutely stunning, and I love you. I know it's unlikely, but I had to say it. Now, Octavia, while she does work as a paramedic and hopes to become a doctor, I think that even after she gets her doctorate, she might be a doctor for a few years, maybe, if that. but I think she'll quickly go back to being an EMT or paramedic. And that is because she loves helping people. And being a paramedic, it fills you with that adrenaline. You gotta get to a place, you gotta treat them quickly. You gotta make sure they're stable. And if you can't get them stable in the car, depending on their injuries, you get them to the hospital quickly. Which, fun fact, I recently learned that paramedics have a machine called the Lucas machine, and it gives patients perfect CPR that does not stop. Whereas a human, a normal paramedic, after about 20 or 30 minutes, they're going to get tired. They're not going to really be able to do CPR perfectly every time. And that is simply because they're human, and CPR is very, very strenuous and very difficult to do. And usually the best chances for a patient to survive, especially if they've been in a car wreck or they've gotten a serious injury of some kind, chest compressions. CPR is usually their best bet. If their airways are clear, you do CPR. You also give them rescue breaths if you know how to do them. Now, they have difficulty with that. A lot of humans will have difficulty with that, especially when it comes to doing CPR correctly, which is why they created the Lucas machine. Now, sadly, not every city, not every town, not every hospital has paramedics who have the Lucas machines. Now, it's become a bit more widespread as of lately, but there's still a long way to go. And with the Lucas machines, it gives equal and perfect CPR. It never gets tired. It's a machine, and it goes. It keeps going and it keeps going. And honestly, I found that amazing. And I'm so sorry to info dump about it. I found it neat. I'm actually thinking of becoming an EMT or paramedic myself, if, life is willing. Oh goodness, why am I yawning? I was tired. But yes, that's kind of how I based Octavia off of. Oh dear, I just info dumped about paramedics and their machines, oh dear. Now, another thing about Octavia is she didn't have an easy childhood. She grew up in a poor area, and sadly, when you do live in a poor area, crime rates do tend to be a little high in the area. While yes, your neighbors are going to look after your kids, they'll keep an eye out, and you trust everyone in the neighborhood, you got people who are desperate, and so crimes happen, or they, due to their, let's say that they're chronically ill and they have to self-medicate somehow, sometimes stuff happens, and it's awful. But she grew up in that kind of area. And for a long time, she was in with the wrong crowd. She actually went to prison a couple of times. Not like adult prison, but, juvenile detention, stuff like that. But it was only after her second time, when she came home, that she realized that her little sister, and yes, Octavia has a little sister, she is the oldest of 3 children. Her youngest sister didn't recognize her. She didn't know who Octavia was. She had no memory of her. That was because she was born when Octavia was in juvie. And Octavia was just absolutely heartbroken. I mean, her own sister didn't even know who she was. For all she knew, her little... oh dear, I'm stuttering. She was just a stranger to her little sister, and that broke her heart, because Octavia loves her siblings. She loves her family. And so she put in the work to straighten herself out. She stopped hanging around those people. She's like, look, I'm not doing it again. And surprisingly, they respected her decision, and I'm glad for her that they did. But she straightened out. And it took many years. She had to go through therapy and everything, and it wasn't easy, but she did eventually straighten herself out when it came to her behavior. Now, when Octavia had just graduated high school, she actually met her wife, Serenity. Now, at the time, Octavia was dating another girl, her name is of no importance. I didn't even think of a name for her. But that relationship wasn't really going anywhere, and they both called it quits after a few months. And then Octavia and Serenity started getting together. You know, they became friends, they learned about each other, and they grew close, and they eventually fell in love. Now, for Octavia, if you ask her, she'll say it was love at first sight, but it took Serenity a little while longer to get there. And both Octavia and Serenity eventually had to sort of live together for a little while when they were friends. And that is when things really started to heat up for them, because Serenity had also been in a relationship, but then that significant other sadly passed. He was sick, and Octavia was there for her, and eventually sparks flew, and now they're married. They've been married for about, I'm going to say, 2 years now. This is because Octavia, I'm going to say she's about 25, 26, and Serenity is about either 23 or 24. And after, you know, healing and stuff, they got together. And honestly, they are a very happy couple. And while Octavia, during the day, she'll go out and she'll go to school. She helps her wife keep the apartment as tidy as they can. Sometimes she'll go and she'll visit her family, or she'll do other tasks that she just has to get done, responsibilities, you know. And she goes to school. But during the night, she works as a paramedic. And every once in a while, she'll go and volunteer at the fire department, but it's very few, and literally only once in a while. And she does work the night shifts of the paramedics, of her job as a paramedic. And let me tell you, when you're a paramedic and you work the night shift, oh Lord, you see a lot of things. And Octavia genuinely loves her job, and she is happy in it. So I can't wait to see how she grows. It's completely up to you whether she decides to go as a doctor, considering if you want to go the doctor route in The Sims, because it's literally the only job they have medical-wise. I would love to have paramedics in game, but it's not going to happen, at least from what I can see, because they'd have to actually put in a car, and knowing the Sims team, they're not going to do that. Little spice, little zest towards the Sims team. Where's my cars? But yes. Now this is Serenity. She is a very put-together young woman, and as you can tell, she's got tattoos. She's not afraid to get inked up, but Serenity is a very put-together young woman. She's got a good head on her shoulders, and her childhood wasn't easy. It was far easier than Octavia's in certain areas. I don't like to compare difficulties, because I don't think that's fair. But Serenity, she grew up pretty financially stable. Her parents were upper middle class, and she does have a older brother that she doesn't talk to, sadly. He's not the nicest of guys, if you know what I mean. He's struggling with a lot. But Serenity does have an older brother, and she's got her mom and her dad. And honestly, she had an okay childhood, financially stable anyway. It wasn't until middle school and her brother was in high school that things really started to get a bit rough for her. She did gain a lot of weight in middle school, because her hormones, they change how your body looks, how it shapes, how it processes things. It changes everything. And she was, to at least a lot of the other girls, she was a bit on the bigger side as a preteen and 13-year-old, really young teen. And she struggled with that. She does have body image issues to this day that she still struggles with, but they're not as bad as they were when she was in middle school and just entering high school. However, not only was she dealing with that kind of bullying and harassment, sadly, her brother started to show signs of being a very troubled kid. Turns out he's been diagnosed with schizophrenia, which, if you know what I mean by schizophrenia, you know it can be difficult. It's not like well, yes, it can cause some people to be very dangerous and violent. Schizophrenia itself is a very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Stigmatized mental illness. And really, a lot of people with schizophrenia, they just need people to work with them, to be there. They just need resources and support. And Serenity's parents didn't know how to give her brother that support, so the only thing they knew how to do was, take him to the mental hospital. And if you've ever been in a mental hospital, you know why I'm upset about that. You're probably thinking, if you're upset about it, why did you put it in your story? And it's just because I like to draw in my real things that I've gone through, and I like to put them into my Sim stories sometimes. Now, Serenity, she loves her older brother, and after seeing how her brother struggled, Serenity began showing an interest in becoming a psychologist. Psychology was something she was really into, and Serenity's always wanted to help people, whether it be her brother or a family member. It doesn't matter. She's always wanted to help people. And with psychology, it clicked for her. Now, she's currently in school to become a psychologist, but she is known for giving good advice, and as a job, because she's got to pay her way, she's got bills to pay. She does work as a child caregiver. She does take care of kids over the weekend, and sometimes she'll go and get a few shifts at the local daycare because she's CPR certified and she's cleared. She has no criminal records at all, so she's allowed around kids, and she's actually really good with children. She adores children. And recently, Serenity and Octavia have begun to discuss the next step for their relationship. Of course, they want to be financially stable. They want to have that, they do want to be financially stable when they do decide to have a child, and they do want to work on themselves more because they do know that sometimes they can be pretty reactionary, and they want to not be reactionary, so they are working so hard on that. And they have been discussing possibly adopting a child, or maybe trying IVF, whatever option is available for them. And they're just so in love. I mean, you see them in a room together, and it's like seeing Morticia Addams and Gomez Addams in a room. You know they absolutely adore one another. If you were to ask Octavia's ambulance partner, because typically paramedics have a partner unless they are a sprint unit, and if you were to ask her work partner what's her main topic of conversation, he would say, oh, that would be her wife. She never shuts up about her. If you think teenagers who have just gotten their first girlfriend or oh my goodness, forced first boyfriend or first girlfriend have issues just not talking about their boyfriend, not hyperfixating on that individual, and that being the only thing they discuss, you wouldn't last a second with Octavia, because she's literally only talking about how much she loves her wife. One of her favorite quotes is, "I don't know what I did in a past life, or even this life, to deserve such a blessing, such a goddess, such a universe. But I am so grateful that she is mine." And honestly, it's It's so romantic, okay? I'm a sucker for hopeless romance and just all that lovey-dovey stuff. And I love it so much. I find it so adorable. And Serenity, whenever she's working with other people to tend to kids and take care of them, she talks about her wife as well. She's like, she is the moon to my stars. I love her to pieces. I would do anything for her. And honestly, I'm so happy for them. They're so gay. And I love them so much. And I know how they both feel. I've got someone that I feel that strongly about. Granted, I myself haven't gone for them yet because I'm like, okay, yeah, I need to work on myself. Get stable. Learn what sets me off and what doesn't. I need to learn more about myself before I go and get in a relationship with someone else. Because, I don't want to end up getting in a relationship with someone I love and then be in my 40s and be like, wow, I treated them like crap, but I loved them so much. I was so reactionary to every little thing. I'm so jealous and petty. What the hell? I don't want to be that way. But, yeah. Now, I am going to go ahead and gush a little bit. I did try and give both of these Sims, Serenity and Octavia, very unique features. Typically, especially in my early teen years, 16, 17, 18, when I would create Sims, I would give them these anime faces with a very small chin and nose, and the very small head, but the very big eyes, and I would always have them have that little, pointed or straight nose, like, more of a animated kind of nose style, and I was just making the same face over and over and over again. I wouldn't add freckles, I wouldn't add moles or quote-unquote imperfections. I would just make the same face, and I would always choose the palest skin tone when I created Sims. And as I've gotten older, I have actually begun to branch out a lot more when creating Sims, and honestly, I think that by me branching out, I have been able to create, oops, sorry, didn't mean to hit my mic. I've been able to create far more unique and beautiful Sims. And I've actually begun to experiment, especially with nose shapes and chin shapes and jaw shapes. I typically didn't experiment with that before. Now, if I have like an idea of what kind of ethnicity or race that I want a Sim to be, I'll look up the features of those people. Like, I would have literally all of my Sims look the same. I would give East Asian Sims these tiny nose, these very tiny nose and very tiny eyes and I didn't make them with any of the actual features that you see commonly in these different ethnicities. And now I do. I found that I really, really, really love Roman and Greek and Romani noses, and I'll even look at noses for like hours on my Google just to try and perfect a certain nose for a Sim if I want that Sim to be of that ethnicity, or maybe their father is one ethnicity and their mother's a different one, or they don't know their own ethnicities because they were adopted, but I want them to have more unique features that I don't see very often in my day-to-day life. Granted, I stay home all day, but and honestly, I think these two Sims are the prettiest Sims that I have made, and I kind of want your opinion. Do you think they look decent? Do you like their noses? I really love Roman noses, especially the noses that have the bump in the middle and curved downward. I find them beautiful. Well, now we're getting to the end of this video, but I genuinely hope that you have a good day Please stay safe, stay healthy, and have a happy Valentine's Day. Bye-bye!